Gray Magnolias. It has been a minute since I've picked up the camera to film myself or talk about anything relating books or anything like that. I've just been working so much, and then, well, so much for like, I don't know, I've just been very tired at the end of like my work weeks, and when I have a day off, filming is the last thing on my mind. But I have been reading a ton, and I'm like knees deep in books. So many books I have that I'm going to read. And then I picked up writing again. I'm writing at the very minimum once a week. So I actually wrote last night for a little bit. I wrote like about 1,000 words. So I still have been doing that. But let's just get right into it, because this is probably going to be a very long video. For my drink of choice, I have a protein coffee. I just added protein powder, but I've been using a it's like Fairlife, but Aldi sells their own version, and I gave it a try and I really like it. It's also lactose free, which has been helping. So this is a salted banana caramel latte. I'll try to remember and try to hunt down that YouTube reel I found, or Instagram reel. I have no idea where I saw it. I did send it to my sister, so I might be able to get my hands on it. But she had like leftover salted, like caramelized bananas from, like, I guess, what are they called? Banana Foster, I think. Where you just take like really ripe bananas, you throw cinnamon and brown sugar, and I like to do like a little bit of Kerrygold butter to like really like fry them up and caramelize them. And then you just put it all in a blender, like about a tablespoon of the banana stuff. And then I just put instant coffee, or you do espresso shots, milk of choice, and blend it up, and it is so good. It is like one of the best little, like, you know, I always say like coffee, oh, you should try this coffee at home. This has been my favorite one by far. So I'm going to start off what I just finished recently, because it's fresh in my mind, and then I'm going to jump into what I'm reading. These are all library books. So none of these are my own. I know my like library, like the little bit of my library under my desk is like read me. I think once I've like kind of like finished all this, I'm gonna kind of stop maybe, unless I find something else. Anyway, so let's start off with so I didn't realize it was her, but I'm still on the hunt for a book I read in my youth, historical romance. It had to do with pirates, a girl in an inn being taken. I'm telling you, that's all I remember. I'm gonna have to get on that like thread on Goodreads of like what's that book, and just try to give as much information as I can to see if anybody knows it. So I thought this was the book. It's not. But so that's how I got here, because I was looking at, what did I finish reading? I've read so much. I think after I finished Well of Ascension, which was so good, so I'm already on book 3 of the Mistborn trilogy, I was left aghast. I was like, oh my god, this like it's just like such amazing writing. I really, really love it. I'm so happy I kept pushing through and read it. So I was like, I'm really, really in the mood for historical romance. So one series I am reading is the Slightly series by Mary Below. I actually just picked up, they were going to toss it at the library, and I got it. I got Slightly Married, which I hadn't been able to see, but I'm pretty sure I own this one. I own several, but I can't get my hands on them, so I'm going to be borrowing them from the library. Anyways, so I started off with okay, I was gonna say, like, why is this okay? Anyways, I started off with Thief of Hearts by Teresa Medeiros. Oh my god, this was amazing. She wrote which I read, actually finished. I had put it aside, I finished reading, it was like a good time. The Bride and the Beast, which is kind of like a Scottish historical romance. That was so fun. So I didn't realize this was her, so I got this, and this is a pirate theme one. It says, prim and pampered Lucinda Snow knew little of men and nothing of danger until the fog-shrouded night when she was abducted and found herself at the mercy of the legendary pirate Captain Doom. But worse than being kidnapped was the fact that after awakening Lucy's passionate longings, Doom abandoned her with nothing but a kiss. Now safely at home, Lucy is accompanied by the bodyguard Gerard Claremont, who takes obvious pleasure in Lucy. I'm not able to read right now. Claremont may be handsome and attentive, but Lucinda's dreams are of Doom and only Doom. So, this was such a fun read. So she's like, her father is this admiral who's like, has her trained like to the T. She has a time when she can eat, breathe, sleep, and do anything. It's pretty horrible. She's always trying to gain his affection, which I kind of like really could relate to in regards to like a parent type of thing. And hold on, sorry, I was like hearing noises. It was so good, and like she gets taken at the beginning, and then I was like, yes. I even posted it on my Instagram reels. So she like stabs him, and he's like, oh, how dare you, and then he like kisses her and just throws her off the boat, and I was like, sold. So it's just this kind of like, she's finally being able to be herself and not restricted to these rules, and she's struggling with, you know, falling in love with her bodyguard, but still being like infatuated with this mysterious pirate that like awakened something in her. And I'm not gonna tell you, I'm not gonna spoil, I'm gonna like leave it there. It was so fun. One thing I've realized, this is my second book of hers. Teresa does a fabulous job of making you laugh, kick your feet, and just like, oh my gosh. And the side characters are also amazing. I would give this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. It is older. It was published in it was published in 94, the year of my birth. So it was great. And the pirates and the crew, and just kind of like, oh my gosh, it was like laughing out loud. I haven't laughed out loud in a book in a minute. And then after that, I read A Whisper of Roses. So this is set in Scotland, England. I'm gonna read the back. As she peered over the edge of the gallery, Sabrina Cameron trembled at the sight of the sun-bronzed giant striding into view, but she never recognized him until those arms of warm steel wrapped themselves around her, and she peered into the smoldering green eyes. As a boy, Morgan MacDonald had been her tormentor. Now Morgan, much more dangerous, has come to make peace with the warring clans, but by evening's end, he realized that the only way to avert bloodshed was to marry his enemy's daughter. Sabrina was having nothing of it. If Morgan MacDonald wanted her, he'd have to give her Sabrina something in return. He'd have to give her his heart. This one was great. I like was eating it up. So this is like childhood enemies to lovers, but she secretly like adored him. So it's not like a true enemies to lovers. And he also like secretly was infatuated, but he had like his heart was hardened, and like kind of just the life of his clan, and his clan being like a bunch of like thieves and just kind of them dying off, and they're about to like disappear, and like this union of marriage is the saving grace. All the characters were great. I loved Sabrina. I loved Morgan. His like, even though he like teased her, it was like, I would say this is more of like a bully romance, because he like bullied her, but then he just kind of like always showed these pockets of like adoration and affection and care. So good, so good. But at the end, it's like the fourth act conflict, like a tragedy, like tragic accident happens to Sabrina, which turns her into this vicious see you next Tuesday. I'm sorry, like she did such a good job of like really changing her that it honestly left a bad taste in my mouth. And it was like the type of story, you know how like the male lead always ends up groveling. She really should have groveled after like what she did and how she treated him, in my opinion. It still ended good and it was a happily ever after, but I just felt like how the author changed her to like this brat. Again, see you next Tuesday. She was insufferable. Was really hard to stomach at times. I was like rolling my eyes, but again, I kind of understood because of like the accident she had and the possible like outcome of it all. I'm not gonna spoil anything if you do read it. I highly recommend it. I'd give this one like a 4-star, maybe like even a 3.5 star, because that ending of like just that last couple like 150 pages of her recovering and what she like turned into was really hard, and he was like trying his best and everything worked out in the end, but it was like a little much, if I do say so myself. So that's what I've read. I've also, I won't necessarily talk about it here, but I actually picked up Kindle Unlimited. It was like 2 months for 99 cents. Excuse me. And there's these books I had on my list that I really want to read, which I actually DNF'd. It's called Fish's Feathers. I forget by who. I've realized I don't necessarily care for dark romance too much anymore. It has to be very particularly written, where like I feel even though it's dark, maybe there's violence and like abuse of some kind, that I can see the light. And I was struggling to see the light, and then someone made a comment on a Reddit thread of the like fantasy, and like, should I read this? And they came like, warning, Vicious Feathers is very RAPE, and even the second book it gets worse, and it's just like, yeah, I'm just like, I don't need that. I need happy, I need love, I need my heart to clench of just pure joy. So I completely DNF'd that. I was reading some fun short novellas that were questionable, but they were a good time. They were a good time. I will not negate that. I am not ashamed. So moving along, I'm telling you, working at my job, like I do nothing but look at books, so it's like hard not to just compile this massive list when there's nothing to do. But I am, once I finished A Whisper of Roses, I jumped right into this because the audiobook became available, because I started with the audiobook. I'm ending with the audiobook because it's really well done. Minus the fact that the narrator has taken some liberties to change the wording and occasionally add things, which throws me off when I'm reading along. It's not as bad as Dragonwick. That was like, they like literally skipped pages, which, you know, was kind of like a little annoying. Otherwise, I'm reading The Hero of Ages currently. So good. I'm like it's going a lot faster. The chapters are shorter. There's a lot of more POVs. I have another favorite character. Oh my gosh, so amazing. I will be I mean, don't spoil it for me, but if anybody passes away, like anybody else, I'm gonna like be devastated. When did I start this? I started this yesterday morning. I'm already on chapter 25 and page 161. But like the chapters are very, like it's very quick pace now. Like way faster than book 1 and 2 for sure. After I finished that, I have, I did obtain Slightly Married. So I'm not sure if I'll jump into that right away. I did pick this one up at, someone returned it and I was like, oh, that sounds really good. What You're Looking For is in the Library by Michiko Ayomaya. I think that's how you say it. It's like library, what a nice sounding word, so comforting. I feel like I'm a student again. Library, am I allowed to borrow books? That's like the back. And it's just like, it's written by a Japanese author. And this is kind of like little stories of people going into this magical library. So the inside flap says, what are you looking for? So as Tokyo's most enigmatic librarian for Seiri, oh my god, I'm like so bad at Japanese names. So they like, she helps people find what they're looking for in a library. And there's like a retail assistant who wants to change her job. There's a mother who wants to overcome demotion at work from maternity leave. Accountant who wants to open an antique store, and just finding like the perfect book to help them fulfill their dreams, I think is what it's about. So it's a quick little read. It seems really interesting, so I'm gonna give it a try. And then I am still on the like in between everything else I'm reading. I'm trying to read books that were popular in like my youth, or I mean, this came out in 2015, so that's not necessarily my youth. I was already married. I was still young. But when did this come out? 2012. I was technically, yeah, I was still in high school, but so I picked up Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I just thought it'd be fun. Kind of maybe, I don't read much sci-fi, fantasy, romance, so this is like a Cinderella retelling. She's like a cyborg, a humanoid, android. So, no, she's a cyborg. I apologize. So I thought it'd be a fun read. And my local library has all the books plus the audiobooks, which I really do enjoy reading like that. I'm capable of reading, like, for example, sorry, my phone just so rudely cut me off. I read these like without audiobook, no problem. But yeah, so, and then also I was looking to see what was coming out, and this one really caught my eyes. I'm not into contemporary romance, but I was like, hey, that sounds like a good time. It's called Wild Side. It's part of the Rose Hill series by Elise Silver. I got book 3. I requested book 1 and 2 as well. So Tabitha's nephew's guardianship is contested, and she decides she'll do whatever it takes to keep him in Rose Hill, even if it means marrying her enemy, Rise Dubris. A man who is secretive, broody, and completely infuriating. A man whose work takes him away for weeks on end and brings him back covered in mysterious bruises. Ones he won't talk about. In fact, Tabitha and Rise barely talk at all, which would be fine, except he's not talking, he's staring, and the way he looks at her is borderline indecent. So there's a lot of tension between them under the roof, a dangerous temptation. So yeah, I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then so the other books, I picked up Wild Love and Wild Eyes, and yeah, hopefully they are good, a good time. Yeah, so I have, even though I have not been filming or picking up or posting out videos, I am reading like almost as close to as 2020, but I don't have as much free time, so I read in the morning before, like, I read on the weekends, especially if I'm close to finishing a book. I'm like, I'm finishing the book this weekend since I'm off for sure. So roughly, depending, I'm finishing a book a week, which is pretty good, I'd have to say. What else has been going on? I started knitting another sweater, one of my all-time favorite patterns. Once I get closer to finishing, I'll share it. I also have a cardigan I need to finish. The sleeves are literally done. I'm just working on a body, and I've wanted to make a cardigan so bad, but knitting flat is probably the most tedious, and I dislike it with a passion. I really do not like knitting flat, but the sleeves are done. I'm literally just working on the body, and then after that I just need to do the ribbing, so it's just like I'm not gonna undo it and make something else. And the pattern that I'm using for the sweater, I just cast it on, which I separated for the sleeves so fast. It's knitting up so fast. I knit like, I would say like 4 inches of the body before I ran out of yarn, because I'm unraveling from another project, or had balls, and then like I finished the balls that were wound up, and now I started on the arms. Like, it's knitting so fast, but I'm most definitely gonna make 2 neutrals. I'm gonna make a brown one, I'm gonna make a black one, and I'm gonna try to make a cream one, like an oatmeal-y cream one for sure, because I really do. Hopefully, like, depending on how it fits, because I made this sweater before. It's El Gran Favorito. I forget. I'll put a picture. I'll put a picture here of the pattern and who made it. And if I can hunt it down, I'll put a picture of the one that I made years ago now, but I gave away as a gift, which I deeply regret. I do that to myself. But yes, I have been doing good, working, reading, being at home, enjoying the last bits of spring weather. Now it's like blistering hot out there, and it sucks. But yeah, let me know what you have been reading. I hope you enjoyed me just rambling. If it was cohesive or not, it's fine. But yeah, I most definitely will be having a lot to talk about. There's a couple other things that I have saved that I'm going to read on my Kindle. I might not, because it's like Kindle Unlimited, and I'm not going to keep Kindle Unlimited. I have so many other things to read. Have I finished anything else? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to keep track the best that I can. Can't think of anything else. I mean, like I said, I read, they were very short. They were like, because like on Kindle Limited or just my Kindle, I read much faster. Like, I have the font a little much bigger, and I just like, I speed read, honestly. And most of those books were like not even an hour read for me, because I read them so quickly. And I think I read like 6 books. Again, they're all like all novellas. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you're reading, if you've read any of these. If you've read this one, did you like it? I'm gonna give it a try. If I don't like it, I'm moving on, because my list is vast at this point. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I probably already said that. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.